And if you don't mind, I'll demonstrate. First off, you start your knees and your hips at the top of the swing, lower part of your body. Arms and hands follow, bringing you into position to hit.
Yes, indeed. A very big welcome back to the Course Language Podcast, or to the Course Language Podcast. It's all thanks to Callaway. If you're playing with us for the first time and an existing member, we're wrapped to have you on board as we discuss everything that's going on in the world of golf. Sam Hargraves, Ryan Lynch, who played on tour, won on tour, commentates at tour. He teaches people to hopefully do everything that he's done on tour as well. Lynchy, hello, mate.
Hello, Sammy. I hope you had a good Mother's Day yesterday. I know we did. I had to put in the hard yards. I've obviously got a big trip coming up, but how was your Mother's Day, mate?
Well, it was very busy. We've had, Alfie's been crook all week, so it's been sleepless nights, and it's been a rough week in the Hargraves household, but we still found time to give the beautiful Evie some breakfast in bed and some cards and gifts in the morning before I trotted off to work. So, yeah, big happy Mother's Day to my hero, my partner, the beautiful Evie. She is Wonder Woman. To my stepmum, Jill, to my mum, who's no longer with us as well, to all the mums, whether they're still here or not, the stepmum to do a great job, the mums to be, those still trying to be mums, all the mums, in whatever form they may or will take. We hope you had a good day. What
Absolutely. About yours? It was great. Sarah does an amazing job. My mother-in-law, anyone who's been a motherly figure to me, big thanks. I think it's certainly my mum's favourite day of the year. There's something different, when you write a card, you actually start to express how you really feel inside. I'm not a big journaler, but I would consider doing it more regularly. When you write those Mother's Day cards or the birthday cards, the true feelings sort of start to come out. And I think that's why mums appreciate their cards probably more than presents in some cases, I would say. But this was a very special Mother's Day for me, Sammy, because I had to earn a fair few brownie points. I've been hacking for what is hopefully going to be just one of the great trips. I'm heading over to Scotland this evening. I've got my bag all packed. We're ready to go. I've just got to make sure I bring my passport and pack a couple of little odds and ends, but very, very excited to get over to. We're going to Edinburgh. We're going to St Andrews for a week. We're nipping across to Northern Ireland. So keep an eye on our socials and keep an eye on the content that I'm going to try to get going while we're over there. And I've got a new toy in the bag as well that I'm excited to tell you about, Sammy.
What have you got?
I've got the new Quantum 5-wood. Now we're going to play links golf, but I've got the Quantum 5-wood. I've tuned it up to 6-wood, but I haven't had the chance to play yet, as there's a bit of golf coming up. I haven't been, as I said, trying to collect these brownie points. But
no chance. Yeah,
I hit a few on the range, and the workability you've got with these higher lofted woods is just out of this world. You can hit them high, you can hit them low, you can turn them a little bit if you want to. They do tend to go a little bit straight. And they work incredibly out of the rough. So, I mean, it's just a beautiful looking sort of shallow face that the Quantum's got on it. And very happy to be taking it overseas with me this evening. But looking forward to bringing you all that it is over there to the home of golf, to Scotland and a little bit of Northern Ireland. And if you've got any questions or anything that you would like answered about a trip that you would like to go on, or a trip that you might have coming up, hopefully I'll have some answers for you. So send those in.
What are we setting you as a bare minimum of posting every day? Now you are on a holiday, so we can't expect you to work too much, but we would like you to keep us just up to speed on what you're doing. I would say just a little look at the course. And then maybe just a couple of your finer shots, or your bad ones, actually, to make us all feel a bit better about our own game. No, I'm very jealous, mate. It's going to be an incredible trip, and hopefully by documenting that, you sort of show, able to take some people inside these courses that they might have only ever seen in books, and give them a bit more of an up close view of it. But if you've got a good crew going, because that's the most important thing about any golf trip. The course is one thing, and the courses will be I suppose, the main attraction for you all. But for the trip to be truly special, you've just got to have the right mix and a good crew.
Yeah, well, there's only 3 of us going. So myself and 2 other mates, because we're relying very heavily on member guest rounds. So very thankfully, we
How many favours have you called in from your contacts around the world?
A lot, yeah.
so
a lot
just
of
before you
favours.
answer that, so at the end of this trip, you're going to be in a deep deficit with Sarah. You're going to owe a lot there, and then you're going to owe how many favours around the world, so that when all these people come to Australia, you're going to be having to cash in a lot of credits here to get them on the courses they want to play when they come and visit us.
Yeah, a lot. I'm indebted to a lot of people worldwide, it's fair to say right now, both at home and abroad. So I will be wearing this for quite some time, but I have no doubt that it will pay dividends. I'm very much looking forward to getting over there. If it does make you all feel better, as we're looking out the window right now on a beautiful sunny day in Melbourne, top of 20 degrees today, just glorious outside right now. I think the forecast is looking a little worse for us up in the high country, tops of 12 and 13 with some rain most days. So that's the forecast. But if you don't enjoy a little bit of outdoor weather in an outdoor sport, then you're playing the wrong game.
Just give us the itinerary of the courses that you'll be playing. Rattle them off.
Well, we're still. I mean, look, they're mostly locked in, but we're playing North Berwick. We got Ely. We're staying at St Andrews, so we'll be balloting for the old course every day. But I also know a member of St Andrews over there, thankfully. So we're going to play with him a couple of times on all the other surrounding courses, the Jubilee, the Eden. We might get to Crail, depending on what time or whether or not we get into the old course ballot. We'll be doing our absolute darndest for that. But we're heading across to Turnberry. Trump Turnberry on the way to Northern Ireland, and we've been very fortunate to get hooked up with somebody at Trump Turnberry. So again, all depends on whether or not we get this old course ballot early enough, but very, very excited to see Turnberry. Then we're going to jump on the ferry, head across to Northern Ireland. We're staying at a friend of mine's house. I'll have to shout Kira out and her brother Matt. Thank you very much. They're putting us up at Ardglass. There's a beautiful golf course there. Royal County Down, we're hoping to get on. I've got 2 fields out there, so both have said all good, but haven't heard from them for a little while, so I'll be shooting a message when we get there. And then Port Marnock is all but sort of locked away, and then got a very close connect for Portrush, which I played last time I was over there. But a serious list. If we are able to pull them all off, a serious list, and seriously a bucket list trip.
Did I count off the top of my head 4 of those of those courses you mentioned? At least 4 have hosted opens.
Yes, 3. 1, 2
3.
probably host. Yeah, the old course, Turnberry, Portrush, Royal Portrush, and Port Marnock, I think will host.
Royal County Down, is that?
Royal County Down hasn't hosted the Open, but it's hosted an Irish Open. It's also well renowned as sort of the first or second or third best golf course on the planet.
Mate,
always jostling. And Port Marnock will probably, it's maybe one of golf's worst kept secrets. And if you haven't heard that, you might be hearing it here for the first time. But I would say that Port Marnock is going to be the first Open Championship to be played outside of the UK. So outside of Northern Ireland, outside of England and Scotland. So I think that might be the next one to be announced.
Where is it?
So it's just outside of Dublin.
Yep. Okay.
In Ireland. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is very exciting, Lynchy. We can't wait to follow along, mate. Very, very jealous, and we look forward to hearing all about it when you get back, seeing all about it. Of course, we're going to connect over there because it is a major week this week. So the PGA Championship, Aronimink for the second time hosting. We're going to get stuck into a preview of that a little later on in the podcast. So really excited about that, the second major of the year. And we might just check in with our very good friends at Callaway, who are the major sponsors of the Course Language podcast, because last major, we had the Major Series golf balls to give away, and we might just touch base and see if we've got them again off the back of the PGA Championship. So that's all very exciting as well. I'm sure you are packing your OGO luggage to take you away with you, the best luggage and golf bag company in the caper. And if you want to check out what they've got available, get on their website, use course language 20 at checkout and get yourself 20% off. But Lynchy, it's been a big week for news. Of course, there's more updates on the LIV side of things. There's been some phenomenal results, and we are very pumped to be getting up early this morning to watch Lucas Herbert make history, winning on another tour. Winning his first outright individual LIV tournament. So we're going to get stuck into that as well. But the biggest story at home this week was the announcement about the Australian Open, and that as of 2028, the Australian Open is going to be heading to North Adelaide on a rotating basis between that year on an alternate year schedule between then and 2034. There's a whole lot in and around this. Obviously, there's a big upgrade planned. What the future of LIV that was going to be at that course, which prompted the upgrade, is now in doubt. And may not go ahead. So something had to fill the void. In the end, that ended up being the Australian Open. It's a very big story, and there's been a mixed response to it. What was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Well, I mean, look, the South Australian government have tipped in all this money, obviously, with the expectation that LIV was going to be there for the foreseeable future, as you said, Sammy. And that's taxpayer dollars that are paying for this upgrade. Greg Norman is redesigning the golf course. My initial reaction was that I was surprised that without seeing the redevelopment or without seeing the finished product or without seeing the golf course that is going to host our most prestigious event. And let's not forget, we like the momentum that it is going to be carrying after what was our greatest Australian Open in terms of attendance last year, with Rory being here and the field that we got at Royal Melbourne.
Incredible.
Probably going to be very similar this year at Kingston Heath. I was just a bit taken aback, to be honest. I was a little bit surprised by the length of term in terms of the contract. And without, without seeing the golf course, it's hard to make a call on whether or not this is going to be a positive or a negative. So time will tell, but at least it's not locked in year after year. So it's going to host the men's Australian Open and the women's Australian Open for 3 years on that rotating basis, as you mentioned. What were your initial thoughts?
A little bit like you. So you got to step back at times, because your initial reaction is, oh, really? But then we're not in those rooms. And there's a few reasons why I think that's important to know. You only know in this world what you know. So I don't know what $45 million gets you. If you're a course at North Adelaide, we spoke last week about Golf Digest Australia's top 100 courses. It's not in there. So does a $45 million upgrade elevate you to that status? Because I would think, from the outside looking in, that the jewel in our crown should be played at one of the jewels in our crown, if I could put it that way. And we had that. Yeah. We had it at the jewel in the crown this year, and maybe we're a little bit spoiled by that. But I felt like we'd unlocked the secret to a great Australian Open. Go out and pay some money to get a marquee person who will bring others, I suppose, as a chance to play along. Have it at one of the best golf courses in the world that is also can facilitate a large crowd. You've been a big advocate that the golf course is as big a star as the biggest star. And when you've got those two things hand in hand, I think you're on the right course. Pardon the pun. So I don't know what $45 million gets you. Jeff Ogilvy might. We could maybe ask him or Mike Clayton, who do golf course design. But I was a bit confused because I don't understand the reasoning. And I'm sure in time that'll be made clear to us all, and I'll reserve my overall judgment until I do know. But as I said, I felt like we'd unlocked the secret to having a phenomenally successful Australian Open. It's no disrespect to North. I mean, there are great courses in Adelaide, by the way. There's other courses in Adelaide that are top 100, top 10.
Yeah, that's the thing that you're hitting on. Is that there are courses in Adelaide that could host the Australian Open that I would be absolutely ecstatic about. Like if they went to Royal Adelaide or Kooyonga or even the Granges showed that it's capable of holding, really big tier events.
The Kooyonga was amazing.
Absolutely. And look, that ballpark might not be big enough for the men, which is understandable. You'd have to trick it up maybe a little bit, but certainly there are golf courses in Adelaide. And I'm a big advocate for the Australian Open moving around to all parts of Australia. It is our national open. It should be played nationally.
We've argued about that.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm a Sandbelt I'm a play it at you. What do we have that no one else in the world has? The
Yep.
sandbelt. So I'm parochial in that and maybe a little biased, but I just go, we'll play it where we've got something that no one else in the world has.
Yeah.
That's the sandbelt to me. But
Yeah.
and then maybe every third or fourth year it goes somewhere else in Australia. But yeah, so we've argued about that.
Well, I think the argument is still probably there. I think that a place like New South Wales Golf Club should and absolutely could hold an Australian Open again. It has done in the past. It's been recently renovated. It looks absolutely incredible. We want to just be showing off the gems all around Australia. I mean, you could go to multiple golf courses down in Tasmania now and hold an incredibly good Australian Open at Barnbugle or Seven Mile. Or you want to be able to go anywhere where we can showcase what Australia has to offer in terms of golf courses. And I'm just going to reserve my judgment in terms of what North Adelaide ends up looking like because it's not finished yet. But it is a bit of a head scratcher without knowing what the finances are or what being in those back rooms, as you say. It's a bit of a head scratcher, it must be said. But we just got to put our trust in those who are making the decisions.
Would we get Rory to North Adelaide?
Short answer, no.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I think that it was pretty clear in his want to come back and play the Australian Open that it was to be played, or he wanted to play an Australian Open that was at Kingston Heath is one of his favourite golf courses on the planet. So Kingston Heath, Royal Melbourne. And if you look at the list of players that came and played last year, there is no surprise that it was the hardest Australian Open from an Australian professional standpoint to get into. Rasmus Nørgaard Petersen comes in. The thing that may get some players down here is the cherry that is the Masters. The winner of the Australian Open gets into the Masters at the moment, but and
I'm sure that was factored in. You're right. That's a really
Definitely.
good point on the let's just keep a balanced view perspective, which I think we're trying to do. I think we trust the people in the positions that they're in to make the decisions that are going to ultimately make the game better and make the tournament better in this country. And until we see evidence that it's not, then I think we've got to back them in to say, okay, if that's your call, we're behind you. Let's just see how it goes. And then you're judged on the results of it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And
I think that's probably the best way for us to approach it. We go, let's see what $40 million does. Does it elevate you into a top? I mean, to you, because does the Australian Open have to be at a top 20 course, a top 10 course? Is it ultimately that necessary that it is?
I just think we want to hold our championship at a golf course that tests the best players through the bag. I think we want the reason the best golf courses are ranked the best golf courses are not just because they're the prettiest or someone likes them more than something else. It's because it tests every facet of your game. It tests the best players through the bag. So it should have a very good long iron test. It should have a very good putting test. It should be a very good short game test. It should be a very good strategic test. These great golf courses present those tests. And I'm just not sure whether or not I am all for it being, you can get on at Barnby. I'm all for it being at a public venue. I just don't know. We just need that test to be strong enough to test the best players in the world. If Rory McIlroy comes down, do we want an Australian Open? Par is a construct. You can make par whatever you want. But do we want Rory McIlroy coming down and shooting 28 under on a North Adelaide Golf Club that the public are playing? I don't know. Is that what people want? If you were a major sponsor of the Australian Open and you were paired with Rasmus Nørgaard Petersen in the Wednesday Pro-Am, would you prefer to play North Adelaide or would you prefer to play New South Wales Golf Club? I don't know. Well, I do.
It's
I
an
know what
interesting
I would
question.
like.
I think for the fans, though, that is an interesting pro that you give up. The fact that in the build-up, well, not in the build-up, but certainly straight after. I mean, I reckon the demand for tee times at that place is going to go through the roof because you'll be able to say, well, I watched it and then I went and played it and I could get on and I got around and from the same shot that, Cam Smith hit that, so that will be really exciting for a lot of people.
You can do that on a lot of golf courses as well, especially if you're an interstate. You can pay an interstate rate at most golf courses. They're hefty, but you can get on golf courses.
What we do know is that Adelaide is an incredible city to host major sporting events. They've shown that. And Peter Malinauskas, what a job that man does for his state and for that city. The events that they've brought in, Gather Round is a huge success, and a lot of the reason why is because of the way that Adelaide shows up and shows out. The LIV Golf event has been the biggest in the world over the journey of LIV Golf. There's no doubt about that. They've had the Grand Prix in the past. They're getting the MotoGP. They are doing incredible things in the event space. So full credit to Peter for pivoting in the way that he has. He did say during the week that we will continue to talk to LIV, but we're not going to take anything less than what we've paid for. We don't owe them anything. So if it presents and it still looks like the tournament that we paid for, then we'll go ahead with it. If it doesn't, then we won't. So that's really strong leadership from him. And I can only commend him for being so aggressive and going after this as well. Again, we weren't in the room. We don't know all the finer details. And until we do, and I suppose until we see it in action, we may need to just reserve our judgment. It's a surprise. I think that's fair to say that it's a surprise. Is it a good surprise or a bad surprise, Lynchy?
What I'll say, you're exactly right. What I'll say about reserving judgment is that the bar is just a little higher to jump over. So it better be
because of what we had this year.
Correct.
Is that what you mean?
The bar is set quite high. And I would say that we're reserving judgment with the expectation that that bar is set quite high, and we just don't want the Australian Open falling away or becoming a lesser event in any way, shape or form. We want to build on this momentum. We want to keep the conversation going around fifth major and keep proving to the world that we show up for sporting events. So that's all I'll say on it until we see the golf course and until we know what kind of test it'll be and whether or not people overseas will come for it.
Lynchy, quick LIV update. We won't go too long into this, but obviously it was a big day for LIV today from an Australian point of view. Lucas Herbert getting his first solo win. Which means that every one of the current LIV players have had an individual win, if I'm not mistaken. Cam, absolutely. Elvis, Leash, and now Herbie. So really exciting, and it was a great performance. We are going to go through in a bit more detail, but we spoke last week about the fact that Trey Wingo was reporting that Bryson and John Rahm had chats to the PGA. Bryson said that wasn't actually true. But then this week he said he actually has had chats with the PGA and what that looks like. And it's felt like from what he said that the penalties that would be put to him might be a little bit too severe. And he said that if that's the case, he's obviously got a bit to think about, but he's keen to grow his YouTube but he's still trying to find a way through with LIV. John Rahm, the story is that he has resolved all issues with the DP World Tour. He said that he made some concessions. They made some. He's paid the fines that they've asked him to pay, and he's got exemptions now to finish out the year on the LIV Tour, and he won't be fined any further for those. And then he will go and play the events that they'd like him to play on the DP World Tour, and then that frees up everything for the Ryder Cup next year at At.the Manor. What did you make of those revelations during the week? And then the fact that Rory responded by saying he'd been a bit too harsh initially, didn't take in the position of the guys who had left. He only looked at it through his own lens. But then he did finish up by saying, if you don't want to play on this tour, then that probably says more about you than it does this tour. And that seemed to be a little pointed.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think it was probably fair, unfortunately, as much as we've been hoping that the talent would move a little more towards the DP world and kind of strengthen up our world tour that we're heavily involved in Australia. Seems less and less likely. I think the comments that he made were probably fair in terms of if you want to be the most competitive golfer you could possibly be, you probably want to be playing the PGA Tour. It's where all the best players are, and it's where the highest level of competition is. I just hope they bring back cuts. I'm not a big fan of the no cut events, the signature events. I understand why they trialed them. It's just not what golf's about. Look at Alex Fitzpatrick, what he's been able to do in a no cut system without a victory. He's working his absolute backside off to try to figure out a way to get in. It means that the guys at the top of the rankings find it hard to drop out of the top of the rankings because you're playing all these no cut events. So we need cuts. We need player movement. We need to get back to that. That I don't want to be the old school type person here, but we need high volatility. We need people coming in, coming out, and very cutthroat. I thought that Jon Rahm's comments were pretty jaw dropping. Like I was pretty surprised that he mentioned how strong and ironclad the contract that he signed was. And it may very well be that he's playing LIV for significantly less purses over the next couple of years. Thankfully, he's resolved that DP World thing, but so he'll be able to play on both those tours. Doesn't sound like he'll be playing the US tour anytime soon. Bryson, obviously very different to Jon Rahm. He is out of contract, so he has finished his contract. He's looking to probably re-up. I thought that the comment that he made in terms of I'll play if they want me was a very Bryson type thing to say. He doesn't want to go back to a tour that he's disliked, even though he's effectively sued the tour. And look,
but it also
time
means
will tell.
I thought it was just an open invitation. We know that the Golf Australia and I would imagine the Victorian government are chasing him at the moment to be to be a co-headline with Rory McIlroy at this upcoming Australian Open at Kingston Heath. That's been reported. It seemed to me like for a guy that's got some good major exemptions for the next few years, he can play those, and then I think he's a gun for hire. He essentially saying, if you want me at your tournament, I'll come and play your tournament. I don't necessarily have to go back to the PGA. I can busy myself with my YouTube. I'll play tournaments that want me, and I've got majors. So maybe that's the life. This is the life that he has chosen. And he might be more than happy to do that. But it felt like he thought that what would be put to him would be too penal a price to pay to get back on the PGA Tour. And there are a few people like Stephen A. Smith and others, even I think Donald Trump, saying that there is a pocket of a few saying, I don't know whether we need to go down the path of humiliating these guys and fining them outrageously on the way back in the door. Why don't we just try and get the very best players back together for the betterment of golf and for the golfing fan? Maybe put your own ego aside and think about the greater good has been put out there by a few people, and whether or not that gets picked up and run with, I'm not sure. I think Rory's actually a little bit more open to that than maybe he's saying. If you just listen to what he's been talking about with this, yes, you've got to pay a price to come back because Brooks did, but he even thought that what Brooks paid was pretty phenomenal.
Brooks paid quite a lot.
About 85 million all told.
Yeah, let's not think that Brooks has just jumped back onto the US tour for nothing. He copped a fair whack, and the opportunity was there for some of the players to take up that opportunity as well. And you would have to think that there will be bigger penalties placed on those who didn't take it up at the time, now that the US tour essentially is holding all the cards, more or less. What I will say about like Bryson and doing YouTube golf, and even Jon Rahm to an extent as well, with the competition that he's been playing and where his game's kind of at, it is very important to be playing against as good an opposition as you can possibly play against week in, week out, if you want to play well at the biggest tournaments of the year. There's just no way that you can, I just don't think that Bryson can prove me wrong, but there is no way that you can just play a bit of YouTube golf, play a break 50, play a couple of events here and there, and then be expecting to be sharp enough at the biggest events of the year. That's just not how golf works. That's not how professional sport works. They're not that far above every other baseline tour player in the world that they can just rock up 4 weeks of the year and expect to perform. You need to be playing with very good, very high quality level golf across 4 rounds, which is what the majors are played against. And so is it you're sharp for these events. We've got one coming up this week. And if you look across what Jon Rahm's results have been in majors since moving to LIV, I think he had a T7 at the Open a couple of years ago, but otherwise it hasn't been great. And I'm not saying that LIV isn't a good place to play golf. Clearly it's highly competitive and there are enough good players that you're testing yourself. But I'll question you, I'll ask you, if you're Jon Rahm, do you still sign that ironclad contract? Do you think he's regretting it or not?
I would think there are elements that he regrets. I think you'd be naive to think that there's not parts of it he wishes had it turned out better. But if his contract has been reported to be anywhere from 300 to 500 mil, right? And so let's just say it's 300. And let's say that he started with 80 in the bank. Let's say he had 80 million. Well, I don't know what he had earned before that time, but he had earned a lot. Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, let's say it's 85 million that he's earned, right? And he goes and gets paid 300 million. And then whatever he earned I think he won, how many times has he won on the LIV? 2 or 3 times, and he's been second a ton of times. So he's earned very well. His team have won. So his tournament payments on top of that have been substantial as well. If he then was told you got to pay 85 to come back onto the PGA Tour, well, he's still 300 up. So I think he still signs it, because it is, yes, 80 million is life-changing money, but
how much do you need?
300 million, your lineage, your greats don't have to do much for the rest of time either. I mean, it is generational. Yeah. Look, 85 would be generational. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But then what he all might go and do some incredible good with that money too. I mean, look, Harold Varner has put his money into getting, young black kids from underprivileged areas into golf. So John Rahm may be doing stuff like that I don't know about anyway as well. So imagine the good that he might be able to do in Spain or wherever he decides to spend that money. Yeah. So what it does is gives him a lot of...
Does he look like a person who is very comfortable with the decision they've made right now in all the press conferences you're seeing? Like,
but you know what?
Do this for a living.
But he didn't look like the happiest golfer anyway, did he? Like, go back and have a look. He had all that anyway. Like, does Tyrrell Hatton look happy? He never did anyway.
Yeah, but I would still. I mean, you do this for a living. We got to read the body language of the people that we can't speak to. And to me, his body language looks pretty dejected at the moment and pretty defeatist. And I think that if he wants to keep performing well in majors, this is something else now that he has to worry about, as well as performing. When he left, he was at the height of his powers, the peak of his powers. And in this game, nothing is... Yep. Exactly. Nothing is for granted. You don't take anything for granted. Like, just because you're at the height of your powers 1 year doesn't mean that 5 years down the track, you're still going to be at that level a player. But you're talking about someone who really probably does care about how many majors they end up with at the end of their career, and whether or not he feels like he's set himself up financially, or whether or not he feels like he's set himself up to be the greatest player that Spain's ever... Like, did he ever want to be bigger than Seve or have a better career than Seve, or
Sergio?
These are things that we don't know. Sergio, I mean, he's probably already kind of thereabouts with Sergio potentially in terms of like major records. He's got more, but
he does.
Yeah, these are the questions. These are the things that I'm looking at him during these press conferences, thinking, you don't look like a man who's that ecstatic about the decision that they've made. Anyway, while on LIV, Sammy, we might as well get around the grounds, because a huge week for our Australian man, Lucas Herbert, at LIV this week.
Actually had a text from one of my friends congratulating me on the win, and then realised we're playing 72 holes now, which was a little disheartening. So hopefully I get the same text again tomorrow.
Well, hooray for Lucas Herbert. A wire-to-wire winner in Virginia. A great display of endurance and of character. He held the lead for the closing 58 holes of the tournament. He's a LIV Golf League champion for the first time.
It was an incredible win. I mean, he broke shots gained records at the 36-hole mark. I mean, he really set it up in the first 2 days, and then he defended a lead, Lynchy, magnificently. I really look forward to getting your insights into exactly how he did that and the way he was able to shift gears. He was crooked during the week in the lead up to it. He only played 9 holes of practice, and then he just went out there and absolutely dominated. And to be in a final group at the end where you've got Bryson DeChambeau and Sergio Garcia, major winners, trying to chase you down and to keep them all at bay, I was just incredibly proud. He's from my hometown in Bendigo. He's got a great team of people around him. He's just a ripping fella, and he's now won, I think, on just about every tour that he has played on, which just goes to show you the caliber of golfer that he is. And then he earns his way, Lynchy, into his 18th major. He'll play this year's US Open at Shinnecock, where he played his first. So, phenomenal performance from Herbie, and the rain delay that came and the way he held it together and the shots that he played in those last 2 holes. It was just Yeah, it was great to watch, and I was absolutely ecstatic for him.
And should be in the Open Championship as well. He moves up to third in the rankings on LIV. Exactly right. The biggest feather in his cap, I think, is being able to win on every single tour. I think he's won on every major tour worldwide now, including LIV. So incredible achievement from just a good Aussie fella who's always wanted to try to get better. Every single year he feels like he sort of takes that next step and his game improves that next level. And holding a lead like this, I heard him speak through the halfway point where you're kind of in autopilot. You spoke about your best round last week, but sometimes you have those events or those days where you're in autopilot. It just doesn't happen across 4 days. So the challenges were going to come over the weekend, and rain delays are never easy, particularly given that he hadn't been in this position for quite some time, probably since we won the New South Wales Open a couple of years ago and contended at the Australian Open, but hasn't been in this position for a little while, and to hold it together going wire to wire is an incredible accomplishment, and just well done to Lucas Herbert. As I said, he gets into top 3 on the rankings. So for the US Open and the Open Championship, the top 3 players on LIV who aren't already exempt get into those 2 majors. Not for the PGA this week at Aronimink, but for the last 2 majors of the year. So well done to Herbie, and very, very exciting stuff, mate. I know you got up, you were watching it very closely.
Yeah, I was. He had 64, 8 under, and then 9 under 63 on in his second round, and then rounds of 4 under and 3 under over the weekend to close it out. There was great scenes at the end. All his team got around him. His teammates got around him as well. He was back on the phone to wishing his mum happy birthday. His mum and dad were they're at the sunny coast now, where Dom Azzopardi, his coach, has set up his coaching school as well. So his wife was there too. He got married last year. He is one too that you could say that he's won on the PGA Tour. He won the Bermuda. He's won twice on the DP. He's won on the Asia Series, and he's won the New South Wales Open. But he is one, Lynchy, I reckon you'd say that he's a better golfer now than when he started at LIV. And he went there because he felt like, from what you talked about, that competitive balance, he grew up playing footy, and there's great scenes actually at the midway point in the car park of him and his photographer, Billy Hewitt, who's one of the great blokes, having a kick of the footy in the car park, kick of the Sharon. And he felt like that competitive edge that you talk about, he would get more of that being in that team with Cam and Leash and Matty Jones at the start, where every day they were doing challenges against each other and pushing each other and driving each other. And especially with Cam, he really has thrived on that back and forward with Cam Smith. And I think he's a player you could say is better coming out, if he has to come out, than he was going in.
Very potentially. He spoke very openly about being able to speak to guys like, at the time, Phil Mickelson's and Henrik Stenson's, and guys that have done it for a really long time, and be playing with those guys week in, week out in terms of his development. And there's no doubt. I mean, the amateur series, interstate series was played this week, which we'll get to in a moment. But team golf is brilliant fun. And there's nothing more motivating than team golf sometimes. And I know Lucas thrives in that environment as well. And great for him to get that W. As you said, he's won on every tour. So just not much more to say, really.
We're absolutely wrapped for him. And I know you know him really well too, mate. So he's he does great things for golf here and abroad. And you just got to see the way that the other players got around him as well, like the way that DeChambeau and Garcia and then their caddies, there's a congratulations, but then there's real warmth, and a lot of the other players got around to him as well. So he's clearly a very popular player, and he's very passionate about that tour as well. So it'll be interesting to see where he believes it will take him coming up. I can't wait to see him at the US Open. If he plays like that, Lynchy, then look out, because he was magnificent over the 4 days. He really was.
Absolutely.
And I think, and then the Aces, thanks to Anthony Kim, won the team side of it in a playoff against the Fireballs, just to finish out the LIV side of it. But there was 2 PGA events going well, and there's a great story at the secondary one of these, Lynchy, from a guy that I reckon you know pretty well in Ryan Ruffles.
Yeah, he qualified and got his start, made the cut, obviously, at Myrtle Beach, and nice to see him playing some professional golf. I mean, I remember playing the Aussie Masters at the Metropolitan Golf Club in about 2015. I'll have to just double check that. But he was playing with Jeff Ogilvy at the time. I think he was 16 years old, and this guy had so much talent, like so much talent. He just really looked like a ready-made player. Things just, golf does this. It doesn't stay on a linear trajectory, and he's been doing some other things. He practices a lot with Jason Day and Rika Badabasaga and all those guys over there, and he's been doing some YouTube golf, which is seemingly doing really well. But I'm sure that this is where he would love to be, playing on major tours and playing professional golf with cuts and getting competitive again. So it was nice to see him play well and make the weekend.
And then on the truest, the $20 million event, which Scotty Scheffler skipped, by the way, maybe taking a little leaf out of Rory's book to focus in on the next major ahead. I don't know if Scotty will get the same criticism as Rory, but we'll wait and see. I did laugh when they were interviewing Rory, and he said, "Oh no, I've been staying there, living there for a week and playing every day." I thought that was a pretty quite humorous. But 28-year-old Norwegian Christopher Reitan, where's this bloke come from, Lynchy? Winning the truest against against an elite field. It's a signature event.
Well, he's been playing really well. He's had 5 top 25s this season. He's made 9 of 12 cuts, and his first win this year it comes at a signature event. So look out for this guy. He's been contending. He's got an incredible game, a great ball striker, and it's something that I would like to do a bit of a deep dive into at some stage. He was, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago in that tie for second at the Zurich Championship as well in in New Orleans. He played the Masters this year. He finished top 10 at the Texas Valero Open. So this guy's got some serious game and was just able to kind of hold everyone off coming down the stretch there. We had Ricky Fowler, who was doing some things, Nikolai Højgaard. Alex Fitzpatrick ended up shooting 2 over in his final round. He was in the final group as well. And this is what we're kind of talking about as well. It's so important to make sure that people like this can get to the top level of the game. He's not a household name quite yet, but he's certainly showing that he should be considered as a world-class player. Tommy Fleetwood with a little top 5. I think he's going to be a pretty sneaky go next week if he's rounding into form with the level of ball striker that he is. Expecting a little bit from him. But it was a fascinating final few holes at Quail Hollow, where we saw the PGA last year. Always plays havoc, that green mile, and Christopher Reitan ends up your winner.
Yeah, what about golf in Norway at the moment? Victor Hovland, Christopher Reitan. Yeah, very exciting times to be a Norwegian golfer. We'll just rip through the other events because we've got to get into our PGA Tour update. Or preview, rather. There was a runaway winner on the DP World Tour, Lynchy, set a record that's existed, I think, since about 2007 when Tiger won his first ever DP World Tour event by a blowout margin. Yeah,
28 under par. Miel had next best was Sean Norris at 14 under par. Keep your eye on this bloke. He's 22 years old from South Africa. Just blitzed the field this week. 28 under is just insane. So, well done to you, Rav.
The LPGA, Lynchy, Callaway's own Gino Titicun, the Chrome Tour ball was humming very nicely off all of the quantum drivers and fairway woods and the Apex irons that she was using. Gino's won her second event of the year, and it's becoming a nice little battle at the top of the women's rankings. Nelly Corder's taken the mantle back as the number 1 women's golfer in the world. But Gino, a 4-shot win in the end to win the Mizuho Americas Open. Hannah Green, the best of the Aussies, in a tie for 14.
Yeah, hopefully she keeps going. She needs to get a major. She needs to get that monkey off her back, Gino.
Yeah.
And Ian Sneeman gets it done in Taiwan on the Asian Tour as well.
And what about the Vicks? The Vicks in the state team championships. Go on, the Big
State team
D.
champions. No, good stuff. There's nothing, as I said, nothing more fun than representing your state and playing a bit of team golf. And Victoria was victorious in the state team championship. So well done to the Vicks.
So well done to the Vicks. That's fantastic. And just go and have a look at some of the young players that were made up all the state teams in that Lynchy, because some of those guys have done incredible things in their amateur careers, and they're the players you want to get to know now as they get set to make that big leap to the professional ranks. What a week this is, the second major of the year. Cannot wait for this. The PGA Championship from Aronimink in West Philly in Pennsylvania. this is a really interesting course. It's a really interesting build up to this event. It sometimes doesn't maybe get the passions flowing, and it doesn't maybe get the emotions stirring as the other majors tend to do, Lynchy. But it is still a major, and it is still one to get very excited about. And this is a fascinating course too.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a difficult golf course. There's a lot of bunkers out there. I know they've redone the scatter bunkers. I think there's over 200 bunkers on this golf course. It's quite long too, and they're very elevated and kind of slopey greens. So you really do have to be controlling your ball flight. There's a lot of long rough around that's going to sort of stop balls from rappelling around the place, which we prefer at the Course Language podcast to not be around. We like to see it firm and fast and bouncy and rolly. But it'll be a fascinating. I mean, look, it is a major championship, but it's probably, we can talk about this probably being like the least identifiable major, right? Like I wouldn't even say prestigious, maybe, but like
apologies to
the least
Jason
just the least identifiable major, right? Like it feels like another PGA Tour event just on steroids. It feels like a bigger event, and it's kind of jammed into a position in the schedule now where the PGA used to be its identity was a little bit of a last crack at immortality as it sat at the end of the major season. Now that it's jammed in between the Masters and the US Open, it feels like it's lost even more of its identity. And look, I'm still obviously incredibly interested in tuning in, and the time zone's going to be a little bit better for me in the UK this week. But it needs a bit of a. It needs something. It needs a really good finish or a great champion or something to happen here to elevate it a little bit. I mean, the PGA of America probably hasn't done itself any great favors with the Don Ray and the way that the Ryder Cup and everything was sort of run last year, and it just feels that, I mean, they do have new management at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not this event sort of kicks off and whether or not they start to work towards something. I know we've been talking about it for a long time, and many in the golf industry have, that we'd love this to be the traveling major. It's owned by the PGA of America, so it's unlikely to happen, but it'd be a brilliant event if you could represent all the PGAs around the world, and at least every couple of years get out of the US. I think that is an option to give it some form of identity, but it does feel like it falls a little flat compared to the other majors of the year, mate. What do you reckon?
Oh, I think that's a brilliant point. I think it's a great idea, and you've got a lot of them, State of Origin Golf, and you just keep trotting them out, mate. You should start copywriting these. But you're right, and we've spoken about this a few times, don't need to probably go over it again, but get a point of difference. It doesn't have a point of difference to the US Open. It's another major in the US that just goes around the US. So what are you and what do you stand for? You've just given them something they can stand for to be the thing that unites the PGA golfers around the world. So it's a great point. I'm really interested in the course because what I'm reading is that it's not as long as some of the other courses that majors are played on. And this course was set up to give you an area to aim for off the tee, but be careful of the bunkers that have been set up to be at those distances. And all this course is about is 150 in. So this course is set up for players who really do hit greens. And the greens, you don't need to be one of the best putters. I mean, you always need to be great at your putting. It's sort of like what I was reading today is a little bit like Augusta. It's not the be all and end all with these greens, similar to that. So it's really going to be about how good you are over 150. Yes, you've got to be accurate off the tee and find the fairway, but are you hitting them in reg? And how many opportunities are you setting up for yourself? So that's probably how I've gone about selecting my chances as to who I think is going to win. But I want to hear yours first.
Well, I think that you can probably, this is the major that is probably the most like a PGA Tour event. So this is the easiest one to sort of take form on. If you've been paying attention to the PGA Tour, then you probably know who's going to play reasonably well here. This is an event that form will probably carry over. What I will say on the golf course is that the USGA also get kind of first dibs at the best golf courses in America. And the PGA just don't quite have that same level of golf course, like the top 10s and the top 20s in the country. So they're fighting a bit of an uphill battle here, or fighting a bit of an uphill battle on that front as well. But I think it's really hard to go past. I mean, not breaking any news here, but Cam Young's been playing so well. Matty Fitzpatrick's been playing great. I mean, you always know that with a major championship, Rory and Scotty Scheffler will become different beasts. But if it's not testing long iron play, expect that the leaderboard is going to be absolutely jam-packed come Sunday. So this is a major that very well could be kind of background noise until the weekend hits, and that back nine on Sunday might get pretty interesting, given that the scoring is typically pretty good, and it's not a very long golf course, and there'll be plenty of birdies out there, and that's kind of the identity that this event has kind of had, that they want a close finish on Sunday. But what that means is that there's less to be worried about during the week, and you can kind of tune in on that Sunday final round and be thoroughly entertained for that afternoon. But I expect it to be a pretty jam-packed leaderboard where no one really separates themselves. I hope I'm wrong, but without any conditions, look like the weather's going to be pretty good over there. But we'll see. I would say that those four that I mentioned would be my tips, obviously.
All right. So just you're putting them in a box, or are you going to put one on top?
I can put them on top for you if you like. I'm gonna say that that Matt Fitzpatrick wins his second major.
Oh, he's in my choices as well. He's in my choices as well. So I was just sort of having a look at, as I said, I was just having a look at strokes gained on approach, greens in regulation, and just having a look at some of the players who are doing well in those areas. By the way, Brooks Koepka, very good in those areas. If you're having a look, my selections. I mean, I just think Scotty Scheffler goes back to back. I mean, I know it's the basic and the easiest, but just look at his numbers, look at his results, look at his form line before he took this week off to focus in on this. Look at those things that I just talked about: strokes gained on approach, strokes gained, greens in reg, all that stuff. And you see his name. So I've got him on top, and I've got him on top from Matt Fitzpatrick, who I think is a great shout from you. Again, look at those numbers. Tommy Fleetwood will be my third. And I can't believe I'm not putting Rory in, but I just can't stop looking at Siwoo Kim. I just can't stop looking at Siwoo Kim for his ball striking at the moment, Lynchy, and you talk about it a lot. He's also proximity to the hole numbers are so good as well. And from what I'm reading about this course, having never played it, his putting has always been the last piece of the puzzle. But what he's doing this year is just getting himself so close. So if he can keep doing that, I think he's a great roughie, and he's at the moment paying about $61 if you're having a look as well. Jordan Spieth's going for his Grand Slam, so that's something to keep an eye on. Adam Scott's playing his 99th major as
I actually
well.
like Adam Scott. I was going to ask you for that very reason, for the top Aussie. Top Aussie.
Me too.
Adam Scott. Yeah, he's been playing well. This is a golf course that would certainly suit his game for sure. I mean,
I can't believe I didn't go with Rory or Cam Young, because I think they're obviously in great nick as well. But it's just where I'm leaning.
Wouldn't
and
surprise.
We'll just see how it goes.
Rory obviously is always in the favourites when you're talking about majors.
It's legacy now for him. It's all about legacy.
Clearly,
he hasn't played these elevated events, and Scotty didn't do the same as well. I think Brooks Koepka is going to have a really good showing too, and I'm expecting Minwoo Lee to be a lot closer to the pointy end of the leaderboard than maybe we thought he was going to be at the Masters. And I reckon that'll do us for our PGA. Well, it's going to be a great event, we hope. As we said, it just suffers a little bit from.
It'll be a fantastic event. Definitely, tune in. It's still a major, but a major that's struggling with a little bit of an identity crisis at the moment. But it'll still be fascinating viewing, and I'm very much looking forward to tuning in this week, particularly given that the time zone will be perfect time for some of those Scottish pubs and late night viewing for me over there.
And while I mentioned Callaway's own Seawood Kimmy Frost, I should also mention too that, do you know that Lucas Herbert was using the Quantum Triple Diamond in the bag? He's a free agent. He just gets all stuff from anywhere. The big dog in the bag was the Quantum Triple Diamond by Callaway, and he has had the Apex irons in there as well at times during the year.
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
I'm a great Scramble partner.
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
Yeah, I did a few things here and there.
Hey, Lynchy, you and I are going to take a week off doing the Scramble this week. Each and every week on Course Language, thanks to Callaway, we bring a question, one of us, the other has no idea about. We throw it up for debate. The other person gets to choose which side of it they debate. This week, though, Anthony, one of our Course Language members, has written into us and with a listener scramble. Hey, Sam and Ryan, I just finished reading Steve Williams' book, Together We Roared. Great read. Evan Priest, Aussie Golf Journo, was the writer for that, for Steve Williams. And it got me thinking about how good could have Tiger been? That's an interesting question. I mean, I think it was pretty good. So here's my scramble question. If Tiger didn't play in the 2008 US Open on a broken leg, would he have ended up winning more majors? I've got my thoughts. I can't wait to hear yours. Keep up the great work, and I can't wait for a Course Language Golf Day. Well, that's a good dear, Anthony. We'll have to get on to that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you,
Lynchy,
Anthony.
Given that
Yeah.
I had to read the question out, I guess you get to pick which side of it you answer.
Well, it is a fascinating question given the developments of what we're seeing at the moment, and we've got to be, careful speculating. But clearly, this struggle that he's had with substances has started somewhere, and dialing it all the way back to the 2008 US Open, which, monumentous, one of the most memorable US Opens, certainly in my lifetime. Rocco Mediate pushing Tiger all the way, and then even pushing him all the way in what was to be the last 18-hole playoff to decide the US Open. But it's a fascinating question. I mean, Tiger is clearly struggling with something behind the scenes, a lot of injuries, a lot of surgeries, a lot of opportunity, trying to get back for events, trying to get back to majors, trying to get as many majors and particularly Masters starts as he can possibly get himself to. And it is a fascinating question you pose. I don't know whether he would have won more majors. I still think that instilled even more fear in the fields that he was playing in at the time, that he could go out and beat you with on a broken leg. Instilled a little bit of fear in the rest of the competition. I think from a mental standpoint, that still would have been a huge advantage, which were the games that he played, which were very, very strong mental games. I got to just while we're doing this, when Aaron Baddeley was in the final group with him at the US Open, I forget which year, it was around that sort of time, maybe the year before, maybe a couple of years later. Aaron always got to the tee incredibly late. He would always putt on the putting green until right up to his longest possible time, walk to the tee so as that he'd be just about ready to put the tee in the ground. Tiger at different times would walk up the penultimate group and stand next to the penultimate group, stand on the tee, waiting until his tee time on the final group. If he felt like there was a competitor or someone that he was concerned about, say an Ernie Els or something, for example, in the penultimate group, he would go and stand on the tee and wait for them to hit their shot while he was still standing there. He would play all these little mind games. And the year that he was playing with Aaron Baddeley in that final round, Aaron was putting, thinking, geez, Tiger's hanging around here quite a bit, putting. Last minute, Aaron starts to walk up. Tiger follows him, walks less than a meter behind him, walks behind him the entire way, which was about a 300-yard walk, all the way in Aaron's shadow. Just within it, he could touch him. He was that close, all the way up there, right until the last minute. And these are the types of the mind games that Tiger Woods would play that I think winning on a broken leg probably still helped him with. But I can understand where you're coming from, Anthony, in that space. But I don't think it necessarily stopped him from winning more majors. What do you reckon, Sammy?
Oh, I'm still trying to get my head around that story. It's very that's very Michael Jordan-esque, isn't it? Like when you go back and watch that the Last Dance, or all we know about Michael Wood, where he would create tension to elevate himself. Pick a fight where there wasn't a fight. Take umbrage to something that wasn't even. So no wonder him and Tiger get along so well. I mean, they're very similar in the way that they compete. There's an edge to it. There's a really aggressive nature to it. That's
any edge you can take. Any edge you can take.
That's fascinating. What I was trying to look up was just to try and get a sense of what his results were in majors from 2008 to 2019 and how close he came. So that's what I was looking at as I was almost falling off my chair with that story. So what did Aaron say that felt like, just while I'm looking at this?
Well, he made double on the first, so it did make him feel good.
I shouldn't laugh. Jesus.
Well, Dad was coaching him at the time. I mean, those were the types of mind games that Tiger Woods would play against any competitor, against anyone that he was up against. There's no surprise that he was basically undefeated when he had a lead at a major championship or any event on the final day.
So to answer this properly, you've got to have it off the top of my head. There's two ways to look at it. Is his legacy greater because of what he did in 08 on a broken leg? I would say yes. But would his legacy be greater if he just had more majors? Because there's winning majors, but then there's the way you win. There's the story behind it. There's a lot, there's people that won majors that you don't even remember, with all due respect, that you'd forget. Yeah, did he win a major? Yeah. No, he didn't. You got to go Google it and find out. And in amongst Jacks, do you remember every single one of Jacks? Or are there ones that you just remember more than others because of the story in and around it and all the circumstances? So I'd say you got to consider that. But after he won that and he missed the next two, he was tied for sixth at the Masters and the US Open. He was top six, missed the cut at the Open and came second at the PGA Championship. He had two tied for fourths, Masters, US Open the next year, a tied for fourth at the Masters. He's had T3, T4, T6, T6 second. So he's come really close, but he did miss a chunk. Like he missed 1 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He missed 14 majors after that.
I think that's Anthony's point. And it's a good point that he makes. It's actually a great point that he makes, because in the 10 years preceding
majors, it is a really good point.
In the 10 years preceding that, he missed more majors than he played in the 10 years prior.
He did. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And he obviously his strike rate in majors, if you just extrapolated that out, he would have won a couple more.
Yeah.
So the question is though that Anthony was asking was, would he have ended up winning more majors? Oh, the short answer is yes. Yeah, he would have.
Yeah.
His strike rate will tell you that he had won, what's the number, Lynchy, that he won 13 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, so he won 15, and he won 14 of those from
before it.
Yeah. So he was winning he was professional from he started playing them in 95 and to 2008, he had 14. So his strike rate will tell you yes. But my question back to Anthony would be, would his legacy be greater with more majors? So if he pulls out of 2008 and doesn't win with the broken leg, and that becomes, in golf folklore forever, but maybe he won a couple more. I'd have to do the maths. I'm not great at maths on the spot. How many would he have won out of those 14?
I think it is a fascinating point that he brings up. He probably would have. I'm actually going to change. I'm going to charm with him. I think he would have won more had he not have won that one. But it's hard to say, because I think that was probably the catalyst of where the dependence on or where the injuries did start to really pile up on his body. And he probably would have won more, but he was injured anyway. So would it have meant that it changed the trajectory of what was to come? Who can say? But it's a fascinating point that he brings up. Thank you very much for writing in, Anthony. Have you got anything more to add on that one, Sammy?
So, Lynchy, let's do the maths. 52 majors he played and won 14. So that's a major every 3.5 majors. So if you then look at the 14 majors that he missed, if he had kept going at that strike rate, then he wins another 4, which means he equals Jack. but who's to say that he doesn't pick up another injury along the way? So the question from Anthony is an absolute ripper. So yes, he would have won more. How many? We don't know. And does the story of Tiger Woods, is it exactly the same without the 08 win? That would be the question I'd throw back to say, does it make him better, or is his legacy greater for having more, or because of the way that he won that, it elevated his legacy? So it's, what a great question.
I think having more majors he would take, but I guess the question is, if he didn't break his leg, would he have won more? The answer is yes.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah. If he didn't break his if he didn't break his leg, the answer is yes. But playing on that broken leg, we don't know how much more damage it did. So fascinating question, Anthony. Thank you very much for writing in.
Yeah, well done, mate. We really appreciate that. Send yours through to courselanguagepodcast@gmail.com or @courselanguagepod on the Instagram as well. Lynchy, we are going to give a mulligan out this week. I'm going to give it out to, unfortunately, the LIV Golf coverage for missing John Rahm making albatross in the fourth round on a par 5, and no one's seen it. There's nothing exists of it.
That is tough.
I think there's a video that Nico sent us that might capture it from someone in the crowd, but we didn't see it. We missed it. We're going to finish on that mulligan this week. Lynchy, we know you've got a couple of confessionals up your sleeve. We look forward to hearing those over the coming weeks as we follow your trip. Have a great one. By the way, we want to hear your confessionals, your mulligan nominations, your scramble questions. As I just mentioned, courselanguagepodcast@gmail.com, @courselanguagepod on Instagram. We've got a big promo starting with Callaway next week that we can't wait to tell you a little more about. But Lynchy, have a great trip, mate. It's going to be incredible.
There's no doubt I'll have a few confessionals for you on next week's episode after the week of playing golf and the following week as well. So there should be some big locked and loadeds. I've got some fun ones to share with you all as well in the upcoming weeks. Maybe I'll be able to get myself a prize from Callaway if I deem to be the most interesting. Hey?
And we are going to have a competition that's set up as well, where for every person that sends in a nomination for a course language confessional, you go into the draw each month to win a Callaway hat. Could be that one that you're wearing, Lynchy, this one that I'm. Any one of these behind, it'll be Travis Matthew or Callaway, and you can get 20% off at Travis Matthew by using Course Language 20. Please check out our YouTube page as well. We've got some bonus content up there. A great interview that Lynchy did with one of Golf Australia's best golf ambassadors at the moment, 4-time Olympian Annabelle Smith, Olympic diver, who's now just embraced golf and is just absolutely running with it. And she's a pure delight to spend some time with. So check that out on our YouTube page as well. And remember, what happens on course plays on Course Language, thanks to Callaway.
Hit 'em well.